scenes, and here I am. Blenderbolt. Testing. There you go. So, all right, let's get my esteemed guests in here. Let's get my esteemed guests in here. Can you guys hear me? Good. Fabulous. Fabulous. Right. Okay, I'm just doing some technical bits over here, and then we shall start. Oh, I don't know. I don't know because I'm not sure. Right, let me just add you guys to the cool. I'm literally jumping through hoops over here at the minute just to get this. Let's try that. Starting soon, guys. Starting soon. You're not falling asleep yet, kitty? Yeah. I've got these old girls up late. It's most of it is gone, yeah. Most of it. Entire screen. Let's do that. So share the audio. Right, let's see.
I'll be honest with you. Do you know what I'm doing at the moment? I'm borrowing next door neighbour's internet, his Wi-Fi, so that might be why it's a bit dodgy.
I was really worried where that conversation was going again. I thought there was going to be a spat out drink again.
Oh.
Just bear with me, guys, and I'll get you in this.
How much tissue do you think we're going to need? Is it going to be angry snot type anger, or are we going to be blubbering because it's just heartbreaking?
I wouldn't say it's anything. I wouldn't say it's heartbreaking or anything like that, to be honest with you. I think it's just.
Is it going to make me angry, innit?
It possibly could make you angry.
It's already making me angry.
Possibly could make you angry, but right.
Do you know what? The thing is, though, with those sorts of things, it just makes me angry because I know I'm going to be angry because I know that there's going to be dickheads just saying stuff you just want to punch in the face and tell them to get out of this planet.
Do you know what it screamed? Listening to this lady, what it screamed was this lady's like lives the perfect sort of life, never had any issues, married, husband, and she just thinks like, display capture. Okay, this might work.
She probably hasn't lived a life where she's had to deal with stuff that she can't even comprehend in her brain that people actually go through. She's probably got no emotional intelligence as well. She makes me angry already.
She's never been put in a situation where it's possibly her daughter's life or the baby's life. If that was the situation, she would probably start to think different.
Mm-hmm.
Or she's a monster.
Yeah. Or she's just a, tyrannical.
Because there are some people, we know that there's people out there. We know there's people out there that have no empathy. Do you know what I mean? How do we know that like 95% of the people that we're talking about aren't these people with no empathy? That means they don't have a right anyway because they don't know reality.
Okay, so I don't need to copy that. So it's just this.
So I'll get angry.
Really?
It's just this.
I'm getting feisty already, honestly.
You lot sit tight. I am just doing the technicals really quick. Just bear with me. One day you lot will be doing this one day, and I'll be sitting back relaxing.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Because I've been making my like 3-4 minute videos of just me talking. I do want you to sort of show me how I can like upload to because I want to whack my stuff out there because I've got some good little talks that I've had to myself. And like, I just think, oh my God, Joe, that's very good. You've been talking to yourself
again, Joe, yeah?
Yeah, loads, honestly. And do you know what? It's really weird It's really weird because I've started watching myself talk now, and because how sensory I am, I've just been given another dimension. Because now I've watched myself talk and how my face and mouth and how everything moves. When I'm actually speaking it now, I can feel conscious about how it actually looks, and I know, weird, but honestly, it's bizarre.
I think you definitely go through a process of I think you go through a process of hating the way you sound, hating your voice and all the rest of it, and then you just sort of just
I'm gonna tell you, I absolutely freaking love it because I've watched myself speak and I'm just like, yay, I love it. I love it because I just flow for 3 minutes and it just sounds good. It's got passion and it's my words.
flowing for 3 minutes. Most women be disappointed. Little cheeky joke in there. You gotta get a cheeky joke in there. It's a tense situation.
I've only got Bob to compare with.
All right, let's do a quick sound check. Make sure you guys can hear this.
First claim is abortion leaves women.
You heard
Yeah,
it, yeah? Okay. All right. So
yeah.
we can't obviously watch the whole of it because obviously I'll get shut down. But what we'll do is we'll watch little bits of it and then we'll just get reaction straight from you guys. But ultimately, guys, the topic of today is pro-life versus pro-choice. Is it ever okay for a woman to have an abortion? And we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it. We're going to watch this Jubilee show. If anyone watching on social media, you're welcome to join via the YouTube link, and you can actually join the chat. Okay, let's start. Let's start this video.
Scarred for life.
Hey.
Hello. What's your name?
Julia.
Julia, nice to meet you.
Okay, so from my understanding is scar means permanent, and I would argue that life is permanent. And so by not allowing women to an abortion, you're basically saying you have to have this permanent being that exists in this world.
Death is also permanent.
Death-
And that's what a lot of women struggle with, especially on the anniversary when that baby would have been born. For
Right.
many women, again, I've talked to hundreds just personally, but there are thousands and millions more out there. On the anniversary of when that baby would have been born, 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, there's deep regret and pain, and some struggle with mental illness afterwards or other struggles, or they have fertility issues. There have been several studies done that show that women have higher suicidality who have abortions than that women that give birth. There's a California study, which is 200,000 Medicaid patients, 150% more likely to commit suicide if they had had an
Okay.
abortion than if they had given birth.
Right. So I think
So
when
what do
we
you think
talk-
about that?
So
I
I
mean, it
have a
sounds like
lot. I have a lot
abortion
of
can be
thoughts about that.
scarring.
I also want to talk about the fact that, from my understanding, is you did go undercover into Planned Parenthoods, and I have many friends that work at Planned
Correct.
Parenthoods. Which honestly, I'd feel a little unsafe if someone was like going undercover to mask something.
Do you know
also,
what we
the other
were
thing is
exposing in the abortion clinics?
Oh, hold on a minute. I think abortion's not an easy choice for women. I don't go, oh, you know what? What do I want to do today? So go see a movie or have
Why
an abortion.
isn't it an
It's
easy?
not an
Why
easy
is
choice,
abortion?
girl. Like,
why is abortion not an easy choice?
it's
for
not
women?
easy just for any woman.
Why?
Why? Because you are literally deciding your own future on your own terms, and we're
And-
allowing women the choice.
And why is that?
with your
Why is that
arguments-
decision so heavy? For example, I
Also,
could go in.
the decision's
I could go
heavy
in and
because
get
you're
I
asking-
could go in and get a wisdom tooth removed, and I'm not going
Great,
to
an
have
elective
this
choice,
heavy-
much like an
I'm not
abortion,
going
which
to
you're
have
like-
this heavy decision around it. Why is abortion such a uniquely heavy decision?
Why
It's
are women the
because-
only ones
it's because
having to
it's
choose these and
involving-
we're shamed instead
it's
of
because
men?
it's involving
Because the
an
men who are
innocent human
committing
life, a
acts
new
of
child.
assault, let's see, I don't think they're father of the year, quite frankly, if they're committing acts of violence
We
against
are
women
in
that have to
total
force them to get
agreement on that.
abortions.
We're in total
Great.
agreement on
Okay,
that.
you're a mother. How many adopted children do you have?
I don't have any adopted
Okay, so
children,
what about all the
but
children
I would
that
love
are
to adopt
forced?
one day.
Okay, so great. Let's call up the agency tomorrow. It'll take a couple years to go through the adoption process,
Well,
leaving
are you
children
aware-
in foster care
are you-
into the system
are you aware
that thus
that
affects them and
There
causes
are
scarring against the women that have
there
to
are
make that
2
choice,
million
girl. Like,
families.
what?
There are 2 million families who would like to adopt a newborn baby and they can't.
Okay, are you helping them? Because if you're providing
we
resources,
do
like,
do
you should-
promote and help that, but you
Oh,
know
great.
what?
So then
You know
why are
the
there
reason why they can't
100,000
adopt. The reason they're not able to
Yeah.
adopt is because we have 1 million abortions a year. Our country kills
Well,
children.
if there were
we have
access
1 million
to safe
abortions a year.
abortions, I would say that scarring exists.
And those are all
physically when
legal
they have-
abortions.
Let's stop there so far.
She's annoying me already.
Let's stop there so far. 1 million abortions a year. That does sound like quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but
Well,
Are they talking just about in America?
I think they are talking about just a moment, but what I think what's probably best is actually for this discussion is if we go to each of you and give your opinion on abortion first, and then we'll sort of just flow through this sort of video. I'll go to you first, Kitty. Your opinions on abortions.
I'm pro-choice. I'm always going to be pro-choice. But with a caveat that it's not to be used as a contraception. And but then, you know, we can't take away the right of a person to end that pregnancy. But moralistically, you've got to use your brain and say, you know, this, you can't keep doing it that way. You can't use it as a contraception. Pro-choice always going to be that the mother, the woman, if it is medical,
Sorry.
it shouldn't even be a choice. If it's a medical situation, and the mother or the woman could lose her life through that pregnancy, it shouldn't even be a debate. It should be straight away done, whatever. Then when, you know, children are diagnosed, well, the fetus is diagnosed with disabilities, again, it is a choice. And being the mother of a child with disabilities who has no quality of life, it would have been a choice that I would have certainly thought about. That's mine.
Wow. We'll touch back on that in a second, but Jo, we'll go over to you. What your opinion on abortion?
I think a woman has the right to choose. Yeah, the woman has the right to choose. Always, always, always. Even up, listen, if someone wants to have one, and it's not just about wanting, that's not what it is. There's a lot of thought, consideration. There is a lot of trauma going into dealing with all of this. It's not an easy option, ever. You know, and I don't even think for people who are serial ones doing it, I don't think it's necessarily an easy option because we all suffer from it afterwards. You know, we're women, our hormones when you have baby, you know what I mean? So it's not just go and have it done, forget about it the next day and you're back at school, whatever. You know, there's a lot more into it than that. But I think when a baby can be born at 24 weeks, if that's the age, I'm not sure. It's around about that time, isn't it? That they, you know, that they can survive outside on their own. Then that's where my limit comes to. Because until then, I think it's the woman's right to be able to choose. Because sometimes it's not as simple as, you know, just choosing a date. You know, she's had to have gone through all a lot of trauma to actually get up the courage to admit that something's happened to her. She has to then sell her friends, family for help, support. Sometimes these things take weeks and weeks and weeks, and then suddenly you're in a situation where you're out of, you need to get something done urgently. So it's not always about you're talking yes and no. There's lots of factors to it, but I believe 100% that the woman has right up until the whatever that year is, that month is, week is, when babies can survive outside the womb.
Okay, so let's just say a woman is 6 months pregnant. She does a scan. She finds out that her baby may have Down syndrome, for instance.
Yeah.
And does that woman have a right at 6 months to say, I don't want that
Absolutely.
child?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Because it's that woman's child. Unless him, she, and he is going to support them all through their rest of their life with bringing up that disabled child, then no, sorry, you don't have a right to say. She has a right to say, because she thought about it and she realizes that she can't bring maybe a disabled child into this world because she couldn't mentally cope with that, or they don't have the finances, or, you know, lots of reasons. That's her decision. That's no one else's decision. And obviously you do need to, you know, medical people and all of that sort of stuff, but it's her decision. No one's got a right to say to her no.
Okay.
No.
I know you touched on it already, but same question to you. 6 months, found out baby's got this Down syndrome. Does a woman have the right to sort of get rid of it at 6 months?
Down syndrome wouldn't have bothered me. People with Down syndrome have a fabulous quality of life. And it is looking into the sort of quality of life that the child will have or the person will have. Down syndrome would never, I wouldn't have even blinked an eyelid at that. But when you go into further things, you know, like where they say they won't make it past 5 or they won't make it past 4, they're going to be hooked up to machines, they're going to be, that's the point where you go, what sort of quality of life is this child going to have? You know, the child's always going to be in pain, the child's always going to be hooked up to monitors, the child's going to have daily injections, pills, whatever, constant hospital stays. That's not quality of life for anybody. And I think that's where you have to draw the line. You have to sort of say, I
And
think
it's very costly as well. And I know this sounds awful to say that because it is also about money. To do everything you need to do for that child's life is going to cost millions and millions of pounds.
I think
You
on
know,
that
if they have to be hooked up, if they have
on
to go
that
to special
argument,
schools, if they can't do anything for themselves ever in life, you know, to look after somebody for their entirety of their life is very expensive.
I think, Joe, on that argument, like in terms of expenses, I think in the UK we have it different. It's totally different. Like, you know, so if something happens, like we've got so many schools, we've got so many programs to help people, we have free medical healthcare. I think that becomes more of an issue when it comes to America because they don't have the same help that we have. They don't have free healthcare. Healthcare is the main reason, is one of the main causes of bankruptcy in America. Like, you know, you go to have your teeth taken out, you go to, you know, anything, you know, it's going to cost you money. Like, you know, you have a baby, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
So it's a much more, I can definitely
And there's a
understand.
certain lot of the population that can't afford it.
Yeah,
I
I would
think
say just because it's quite. If you would say to me, like, you know, it's definitely an easier conversation for men, I would say, because if me and my partner find out we're having a baby, she's 6 months pregnant, we find out there might be something wrong with the child, it's very easy for a man to say, okay, it might be easier to sort of, like, you know, get rid of it and just maybe try again. You know, that is the kind of, I mean, especially me as a younger man, you know, I made mistakes when I was younger, I was reckless, and probably, you know, probably made probably at least 3 times probably that I've made, you know, but I didn't make a girl do it, that was her choice, but you know, that's the situation. But here's a interesting one, like, you know, so it's quite a personal one really as well. I'll say a family member, he had a child with a lady and they found out that, you know, it was going to be really difficult. It was going to be really difficult, and you know, the baby was always going to be in and out of hospital. And I, you know, from the outside looking in, I thought to myself, I'll just let the baby go. You know, kind of, that's kind of how I felt. It's like it would have been nicer to let the baby go. And then the baby survived to about 3 or 4, I believe. And I remember going to the funeral, and I remember seeing pictures of the baby smiling, like, you know, they showed happy moments, and that really did make me question that first initial, you know, get rid of it because there's something wrong with it, because, you know, the baby was happy in those pictures and videos and stuff like that, and that
That's the
really,
hard thing, though.
yeah,
You know, when we're thinking about it as something we haven't seen, it's, but then, you know, we all know, we hear people have stories and, you know, they're advised to have a termination for medical reasons, then the baby's not that, you know, we all know these things, but when it's hard to judge it because as soon as a baby's born, there's a completely different way of thinking, isn't there? You know, because you've seen that baby, it's a human, it's alive, it's there, it's breathing, it's kicking. You know, before maybe that's wrong with me then because I see it in a different way.
yeah. I think you kind of see it
Do you
from the,
understand?
yeah, I think you kind of see it as a kind of like the way a man would see it, like, you know, I'll just, you know, maybe get rid of
Mm,
it, like it's like a very easy decision sort of,
yes,
and I would hazard a guess and say that
because the thing is though,
you've never had a, I would imagine
because
you've
it's
never
not
had
an
a
easy decision though. That's the thing. But that's what people always seem to. They keep saying it's an easy decision when choosing something like this. For 99% of the persons that have it done, it's not an easy decision. It's been long thought out. They've had ups and downs with it. Do you know what I mean? Tears. You know, it's a proper life changing decision when you sit and you have to deal with something like this for a lot of people. You know, and
are you ready for a confession?
yeah.
It's entirely up to you.
Yeah. So after I had Mia, 6 years after I had Mia, found out I was pregnant. it wasn't a long decision. It wasn't a heartfelt one. It was a quick decision. No, don't want it. I can't do it again. I can't do it again. I cannot do it.
But again, you've gone through something that most won't have to ever go through before as well, haven't you? So you understand and you know,
There was
and
a risk.
Yeah.
I was a lot older as well. I mean, I had Mia at 35, so I would have been in my 40s. There was a risk that it could happen again. And when because they do ask you, what are your reasons? They still put you on the spot. And I said, there's a chance she could be like, it could be like Mia. And there's a chance that I won't make it through. I can't do it again. I can't. My daughter has no quality of life. She sits in that bedroom. I can't do that to another child. I couldn't do it to another child. I couldn't make that child. And you talk about, you know, the happy moments. There are so few and far between. You don't. The anxiety before my daughter goes out and the heartbreak when I have to watch her and she's struggling, she can't cope, and that's 23 hours of the day. No, 23 hours and 45 minutes. There's 15 minutes where you'll get that photograph that they're happy. That's when you've got that photograph. But those other 23
but
hours.
these are the decisions. This is the thing, when you said about thinking about it, how much did you think about it in that very short time? Do you know what I mean? It's passionate, it's pure, it's no person can get the same and right answer as what Kitty had then, because it's her body, it's her rules. But if you were in another country, you might have been made to have the baby.
This is
Do you
the
know what I
thing.
mean? How is that right? How is that right?
I mean, I'm always grateful for the NHS. I mean, I'm always grateful, and it, you know, it took, I think, about an hour to happen.
Wow.
And it was done and finished, and I walked out of there and I didn't feel any guilt whatsoever. You know, people have said to me, oh, I bet you felt terrible. No, I didn't.
But that's the reason why abortions were made legal for us women, to make decisions like what you made there.
I couldn't do that to another child. I mean, you've got to bear in mind that my son is 25, he's got Asperger's. So that is a mild form of what Mia's got. You add to that what Mia has got, and she's got learning difficulties. She's basically got the mind of a 4-year-old. And her life is full of anxiety and stress and horribleness and not being able to cope with life. And she hears voices and things like. I couldn't do that to another child. I couldn't sit and watch another child. And then somebody said to me when I was talking about it, so if you'd have known that Mia was going to be like this, what would you have done? And I said, if somebody had told me, and you know, like if I could have seen the future,
Yeah.
it would have been the same choice again.
Wow.
No.
Wow. And by no
See,
means.
this is what women
easy.
go through when people say women, you know, easy come, easy go. This is what women go through when they make those decisions. You know, this is it. This is the real fact, and probably most of the women will have thoughts like this, but on a lesser level. It's traumatic. It's hard, but it's also for the right reason, and it's for the mother's reason.
Okay.
Can you imagine? It's,
Let's go to
there's enough children suffering in the world without families, without love, who don't ever get to have a cuddle at night before bed. Do you know what I mean? Why would they want to have more if they were made to have babies that weren't wanted? Do you know what I mean? I don't understand. I don't.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. It's about. I think this is about 20 minutes we're going to watch, and we'll jump in and out of it. But yeah, let's continue where she was.
Abortions.
Unsafe
To be clear,
abortions.
those
And
million abortions.
I'm going to skip this lady because let's get the next one.
It's awful.
Skip this lady. Let's get this one.
Almost 1,000 women who've had abortions, and hearing their stories. And many of them share about how everyone told them it was the right thing to do, that there was nobody opposing it, and they had the abortion.
But you run
and
a
then
pro-life
And then years later,
organization.
and this is their story, and then
Yeah, but
years
you're
later they
biased
would say,
focusing on people
well,
who
this
do
is
that.
their story, not mine. And they would tell me, and they would report about how after their abortion, sometimes it would be years later, they would remember it, and they would say,
What about the
I
other
wish I had
stories
never
out there
done that.
who don't regret
Or they
it?
would face mental health challenges, they'd face addiction.
Yeah, but what are the people who
Some of them
don't?
would face infertility.
You're not interviewing the people who don't regret it, who think that their life would have been worse off if they didn't get the abortion.
So I think if what you're saying is there's some women who don't regret it, I think it's absolutely true. There are some women who would maybe sit right here and say, I had an abortion, I don't regret it at all, it was
Yeah.
great. But that doesn't mean that abortion isn't leaving women scarred for
No.
life, because it is.
But you're
And
generalizing
those
it,
stories
saying that's
usually
like
aren't
all women.
those stories aren't usually made or told by typical media groups. Usually in media and in the entertainment world, you hear the stories of the women that are saying abortion is great, it empowers me. There are thousands
one
and
is
thousands of
saying
women
that.
who experience bitter abortion regret.
people-
And then there's also
Women can have abortions and they want to have kids in the future, but they know that they're not in the position for it right then and now. So they can have guilt. They can feel sorry, but that's not all women, and that's totally valid.
I think there's a
They
stigma
just-
today, if I may, I think there's a stigma today on a lot of women that they can't share their abortion regret because society is telling them that abortion's your right, it's empowering, it's a reproductive freedom.
But
And so if you have
you
abortion
guys
regret,
are the
there's
ones
hardly
who
a
are
space to
making
share that.
stigma. You're
And so-
feeding into the harmful narrative
What harmful narrative?
that women are getting abortions and then that they shouldn't feel regret about it because they're murderers and that they should own up to their actions. That's what the pro-life
So
people are
our-
arguing.
I think what our narrative, if you want to call it that, is to say this is a human life. The science tells us this. It's always wrong to take a human life, and abortion does leave deep scars in a lot of women. Thank you.
Let's put that out there then. Abortion leaves deep scars in women. Kitty?
Yes and no.
Situations.
Whichever narrative you want to feel, you can find as many people on either side. Some women are going to be terrified and disgusted by it for the rest of their lives. Other women, they're not. It's going to be the best thing that ever happened to them on either side. It's but one thing I would say, oh yeah, that's right, abortions are easy, that's it. It's never. It's never. You know, even if you make a snap decision, it's never easy.
Yeah. I think
But
yeah.
but the other option is an unwanted child, and for most people, it wouldn't have been a happy life. And so, why can't you make that decision? You're not ready. You're too young. Women grow up so quickly these days. Children, I was 16 when I had a child, right? I'm not old enough to make decisions really about things like that. You know, I needed more support. Children are young. It's difficult. You know, just anyway, I've said enough.
Did you want to say anything, Kitty?
Do you know what? What was the question? Because I was just thinking about something Joe said. God, sorry, what was the question again?
It wasn't really. I think it was just a load of statements. We can move on to the next one. It was just a load of statements that the person made. We'll move on. It's fine. But
Just going on to the easy thing. It's not easy for a woman to have an abortion for the simple reason. Okay, there might be psychological issues, but hormonal levels, body levels, your body going back to normal. I mean, I said I walked out of that room and I was okay, but I was 6 weeks bleeding and I was, you know, my hormones were all over the place. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's traumatizing
You know,
for
your
the
body
short
goes
term
through-
for most people,
your body goes through
or you have it and go the long term.
It goes through such a big change and hormonal levels and everything. It's never going to be easy for a woman. It might be an easy choice because of the situation, or it might be a hard choice because of the situation. You know, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? What? But it's never easy because either medically or, you know, hormones and whatever, and or psychologically. It's
let's put a scenario out there. So a couple, let's say in their 20s, not working, the woman falls pregnant, and she decides at 3 months that the baby's fit and healthy for all they know. She decides that she doesn't want the baby. The guy decides that he does want the baby. She's 3 months pregnant already. The guy wants her to keep it. She doesn't want to keep it because she doesn't want to struggle financially. Is that a valid reason to abort that baby? And I'll go
Yeah.
to Joe first.
Yeah, but it's the woman. I mean, listen, I understand when there's a man involved as well. I get that. It has to be about, but if there's a decision to be made, 51% the woman, 49% the man. The woman has to. It's her body. Can you imagine someone telling you how you have to look after your body? You have to carry this baby. Can you imagine? And I don't think men could really understand that because, it's our bodies. We have to go through these things. Being made to do it, or do you know what I mean? Or taken to court to have a child because the partner doesn't. Can you imagine? What it's just.
So,
I think maybe it's just a woman thing. I just think the woman's power is taken away from her, which is wrong because women should be given more power. We know that over the years we've been given more. Don't take it away from them.
all right, over
Give
to you.
them the
Over
power.
to you, Kitty. 20-year-old couple, fit and healthy baby, 3 months pregnant. The woman decides it's going to be too hard because of finances. The guy wants her to keep it. She wants to get rid of it. What's your question?
I definitely think it's, as much as I want to say it's all the woman in this situation, you're going to sign a paper then, and when that baby's born, it's yours. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
They have to take financial
You've got to
responsibility
take responsibility. You've got to take the
because you've
baby.
got to remember most men in their 20s, at 20 years old, they're both not working, right? So is he going to look after that child fully financially in every way, shape, or form for the rest of the baby's life?
Yeah,
Because we know for sure that there's a lot of men that don't, and do you know what I mean? And so we know that there's a history, and I know there is a lot of men that do. I get that. I really do get that. But I also know there is a lot of men that are,
yeah. I mean, I struggle.
with their
Same
fatherhood.
question to myself. I struggle with this one because if the baby's fit and healthy, they're a 20-year-old couple. They're just not right in the right financial situation at the minute. But if they're based in the UK, there's you're not going to starve. You're not going to starve. You might not have the best life, but you're not going to starve. And I don't
So
think
it's not about starving. But what if you don't want to start your life that way? Being a bit hungry, not having a place to live, not having any money, having a baby,
Well, I think in the situation that I put out, I think I would definitely say that, that's a situation where a couple 20s, they might not be working right now. They're based in the UK, so everything is free. They're going to get a free house. They're going to get benefits. They're going to you're not going to start.
Yeah, but it's not.
I mean, factually, it's simple like that because obviously you are going to get.
We do know. But we do know the boy and the girl with the 20-year-old. We know what percentage are they going to be together in 5 years? What do you reckon? Do we think it's like a very high percentage? Or do we probably think in that situation where it is going to be hard because he's going to have to go out and work, they're not going to have much money, they don't have many things.
Yeah.
They start becoming young women and young men
Yeah.
and missing out on everything as well.
Yeah, I think
all of these things come into it.
I have to try and defend the guys
finances.
in this situation. I have to try and defend the guys in these situations because that could be the make or break of a relationship at that point. If a woman says at 20, no, I'm not having this baby, 3 months. And guys, there are men out there that say some men want to just tie them to the woman. I'm not going to lie, there are men that like that want to get a woman pregnant and she's tied to them. There are that, but as a couple, having intercourse and everything, and then I know accidents happen. I've been there myself, God knows how many times.
But the woman normally gets holding the baby. The woman normally is left holding the baby in a lot of these
What about giving the baby up for adoption? Having the baby and then
I'm going to be honest with you. If this was me in this situation, I couldn't live with the rest of my life, right, with knowing there was a baby out there that I had adopted. I couldn't. That would be too difficult for me. And don't forget, none of this is easy. The easier one would be to deal with the problem there and then for me and having an abortion, if that's what I wanted, because I know that I will be able to come back from that and still carry on.
I just think if adoption was an option, yes, and maybe like where you can vet the parents, and then you meet those parents, and they go through the pregnancy with you, and maybe that way, maybe that's an option. That would have been an option. It could be
See, in
different.
my head, I couldn't even imagine going through that, the trauma of that, from feeling the life growing in your body, knowing you're going to give it up because you're not in a place where you can have it, feeling, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
Well,
would,
well,
and then
Candice Owen is part of she's sponsored by this charity that basically they do this procedure sort of thing where the woman where they bring the women in and they let the women listen to the baby's heartbeat and stuff like that, and that changes the decision normally in most cases. I think she said it's quite high. It's like 50%, because I mean, like you said, it can be very easy. Oh no, I'm not ready. Like no one's ready to have a baby. Like, I
No.
get it. If there's health complications, that's something that, that's an individual choice. I totally get that. That's an individual's choice. But if a baby's fit and healthy, and a lot of people,
finances are a choice as
yeah,
well, though.
but a lot of people hearing what you said, a lot of people will feel like, so wait a minute, you'd prefer to kill this fit and healthy baby rather than give it up to adoption because you'd feel bad that you weren't able to look after it.
No, it's not. No, because it's not. No, I don't feel bad. I just know me as who I am and how sensitive I am about things. Feeling that baby in your body growing and then giving it up for adoption, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I wouldn't. So that means I would.
Wouldn't you like to give that gift to a couple that couldn't have children?
I could. Me personally. Now, the thing is, no, because I thought about this in the past, because I was a woman that didn't have any more babies myself, and I actually did think that maybe I could do that for people, because I was 17 when I had my child and I never had any more. And I used to think, yes, but when I actually really seriously started thinking about it, and then started thinking about Nick and feeling those first movements and all of that, I wouldn't be able to go through that and not get a bond. And even if I promised a baby to somebody, because I didn't want, I know that would change for me.
Yeah.
And then I would have.
It's a personal
Do you know what I mean?
choice. But
Yeah, I couldn't.
if I was in that situation, I would like to think, and I knew that the baby was going to be healthy and fit and whatever. If I'd have known that for a definite, if they could have tested me and said, look, this baby's going to be absolutely fine, we would like you to, maybe go and see these parents, see what you think, blah, blah, blah. And knowing that they couldn't have a child, but I could gift that.
Oh, I know. I'm all. The thing is, I'm thinking, I'm being tough all the way through. I don't want this baby. No way. I don't care. I'm not listening. I'm going to give it up. The minute you go through that labour and you hear that first noise, something in me even now just makes me want to hold that baby. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't. And then
think, yeah. Sorry, Joe. Go.
I just don't think that that would be a fair situation, because for me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bugger you lot off now, because I'm not giving you up for adoption. That baby's mine.
And that's
That's
what
how
happens.
it would.
That's what tends
And
to
that's
happen,
what it would be for me, because this is why it is the easy option, maybe then, because you don't want to have to go through all that, and you're not ready, etc. I mean, listen, I was 17, I was 16, I was a child myself when I had a baby. I decided to have the baby. I was bloody mental.
Oh.
Do you know why? The only reason I had my son, just because I was too scared to tell my parents, and it was like 6 months down the line, because I couldn't, tell them. And even when I told them, my mom was like, still go for an abortion. And I was like, that's my baby. I've grown to, that's my, no. But she all the way through wanted me to still have an abortion until the minute he was born.
Wow.
And it's hard. All of this is hard. This
Yeah,
is emotional.
definitely. You can see it from both sides. But let's get a few more clips of this video and let's get some reaction because we've made most of the show ourselves. But yeah, we'll just get a little bit more of this.
Here. What's your name?
Hi, nice to meet you. My name's India.
India, nice to meet you.
Okay, so when you say that abortion leaves women scarred for life, I have had an abortion before. I had an abortion actually a week before my 21st birthday. I'm a young Black woman in America, come from a low-income family. I'm also adopted.
How do you feel about your abortion?
How do I feel about my abortion? That's what I'm about to tell you. So I wouldn't want to have to make the decisions of what's next after a child is born. I personally did not feel like I was in the proper mental state, financial state, emotional state, physical state. I did not feel like I was in the best of any of those states to be able to bear a child, to be a parent, exactly. My circumstance was a little bit different with the father of would have been child. He actually wanted me to keep the child, but I chose not to because of my body.
I'm curious if you considered adoption.
I absolutely did. But like I said, based on my testimony and what I've experienced, I grew up in a home with foster children in and out. I have an adopted brother as well. We're 2 years apart. During my foster stay at my home, which is now my lifelong home that I've been at, I've seen all different kinds of circumstances. I've seen babies having withdrawals. I've seen babies who come from rape victims. I've seen all of it. You name it. It's not the best environment that in my opinion, that I would want to raise a child in, okay? I have friends who have multiple children and they're struggling because they don't have the resources that they need. They don't have the proper support system that they need. The whole thing about this pro-life and pro-choice, it's not I'm choosing to kill this baby. Pro-choice is the choice of what I want to do with my body, not what you think I should do with my body. Wait, I'm not done yet. So anyways, what I want to do with my body, who are you to judge me? I go to church. I'm actually a new member of the church, which is funny. I didn't believe in God a couple years ago.
That's great that you're going to church.
Thank you. And the decision that I made maybe wasn't the thing that I 100% wanted to do. It was definitely something.
What do you mean? Did you feel pressured to have the abortion?
No, absolutely not, because everybody around me was in support of whatever I did, especially my mother and especially the father of the child. But I didn't feel pressured at all. In fact, I felt as if it was harder to make the decision based on how I'm gonna feel. Exactly. And as you're saying, women are scarred from this. I don't feel scarred. I definitely have an effect from it, but I don't think that saying this procedure scars women for life, because you don't know what I'm going through up here. Absolutely not. I don't care who you are, what you stand for, what organization you're behind.
I'd
you're
love
not
to
God.
respond to what you're saying.
You don't get to judge me.
I'd love to respond. The flags are going up, and I'd love to respond before you go.
But my whole point is, you have absolutely no idea what people go through
with them. The rest of them dropped off. Some of them struggling with issues maybe connected to that abortion, but only 150 completed it. So that's a survey of only 150 women. And again, I think we need to look at.
I think we kind of covered most of the things, but the main thing that I wanted to cover from this video, which I wanted to pull, is that, she basically makes a statement saying, she makes a few. So one of them is where a lady says there was a situation where if the mum carries the baby to term, the baby will die the moment it comes out, and possibility of the mum actually dying from the abortion herself. And she makes the claim, she says the baby, even if she should carry that baby for 9 months and let it die, I'm sure she basically makes the argument that the mum should hold it and see it for that one day, even though it's the possibility that it could cause that mother's death. That's one claim that she makes from this.
See, they can't have much empathy in their body, can they? No, but seriously though, because people are making these sorts of decisions without any empathy. How can you do that? Every single situation, every single woman that has an abortion is a completely different story that no one ever had before. It's different, it's personal to every individual. You can't just generalise. Do you know what I mean? And
doesn't this contradict what they're saying? She's saying that this is a life, right? From whatever week you say. And this baby's going to die the moment it comes out. There's nothing to say that baby's not in pain for the rest of those weeks growing. So are we going to put that baby through absolute hell, if it's a baby at this stage of the pregnancy, just so that you can say that you've held it for one day? why would you want to put a child or a fetus through pain? Why would you want to do anything? And then there's a risk that the woman can die. I don't understand the thoughts.
That's what I'm saying. These people aren't mentally sane. They must have deficiencies in somewhere, because you can't seriously think on the planet that you should carry a baby that's going to die within a day, full term, and the risk of a mother. I mean, that's some sort of horror movie, isn't it?
When I was pregnant with Charlie, I started bleeding in the beginning, and they rushed me in because they thought it was an ectopic pregnancy. Now, an ectopic pregnancy is where the baby is growing in the fallopian tube. If that splits, that's ultimate death for me, right? So they said, in the case of it is, do you know what you want to do? And I went, yes. It's, you know. But the NHS don't really give you a choice, because they more or less say, if that's the case, we're wheeling you down and it's got to go, because it's...
Yeah. If it's ectopic pregnancy,
they choose the mother over the baby. But I think that is until it gets to like 21 or 24, either 21 or 24
weeks, something like that, isn't it? It used to be 24. I mean, it could have gone down with technologies and stuff.
21 now is the lowest that a child has survived. An ectopic pregnancy will kill the woman, or it will just do it. It will burst, and
we lost signal.
Don't get to it as quickly as possible. It can kill. I don't understand. A pro-life would say that it's okay to kill the mother. You're pro-life. You're pro-life. I don't understand how you can say that baby growing in that tube, or that fetus, let's say, that group of cells, is more important than a woman. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I mean, I was in the same, Charlie wasn't, and it wasn't a choice I had to make. But, or like you say, the situations, and like you said, you just don't know. We don't know what these cells or that fetus feels. So to make them, if that baby's not going to survive outside the womb, why would you?
Well, they say they feel, don't they? They say it's pro-life, babies feel. They say that. So they've got a sick baby that's not going to survive. Why would you want it to suffer for the next 8 months, 6 months or whatever? Why would you want that? Why?
What you've just articulated was my point. The contradiction is they're saying that a baby feels in the womb, so they're saying that baby is ill and in pain in the womb. So why would we want to keep them in pain? I don't understand. For the sake of one day, you can still have the funeral. You can still have 1 second.
And this is America as well, believe it or not. So literally, like, you know, some women are being forced to be put in this situation. It's a common thing that women are, you know, if they're pregnant and they go to the hospital, if there's anything that endangers that baby, they are being sent away. They are literally being sent away, and that for me is crazy.
And also, don't forget, if they're forced to go through with that whole pregnancy in America, they've got to pay for that.
That can biggest cause of bankruptcy.
Yeah, so not only are you forcing this person to have that baby, you are now going to force them to pay for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a violation. It's just a violation.
And then the last claim that she makes that I wanted to address, the last claim is that she brags about this. She brags about convincing a 10-year-old girl to keep her baby that was produced by her dad, to give it away for adoption. She brags about this. She makes an argument. Everyone is in disbelief, but she makes an argument for like, you know, rape, like rape victims should carry their babies. Like, can you imagine this? In America right now, there are rape victims as young as 10 carrying babies, because if they it's against the law to have an abortion. Like, make that make sense, guys.
It's a violation.
And you hear a lot of men, you hear a lot of men as well in America who are the ones that are saying that it's fine for this to happen. That's just a little bit weird. Why would you want a 10-year-old child to suffer like that? I don't get it. Why?
It's a complete
What
violation.
can I ask? Why is the unborn fetus? Why does that? What I don't understand. Why does the unborn fetus have more power than anything else? Why is bringing new life into the world more powerful than what we've already got?
I think that's a different argument, to the point of, like,
Because
carrying a great victim's, like, a great victim carrying their attacker's baby. I think that's the argument that we're kind of having. And I think morally, most reasonable people can sit there and say, nah, no way you should be expected it. But in America right now, to this day, women are being, like, as young as 10 are being
there's a
forced to
lot.
carry them. Insane.
So you've got the trauma of the rape, the trauma of the pregnancy, the trauma of being forced to carry that baby, the trauma of actually having that baby, and then the baby being taken away. So you've got 5 lots of trauma that.
So why does the 10-year-old baby have to suffer so much for the fetus? Do you know what I mean? Because they're both babies, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They are. But why would you want a child to suffer like that when
And
you could
also,
actually, okay?
I also read that the rapist
Don't say it.
has rights to the
No,
baby.
don't say it. I would have thought so as well. But
Yes, I've heard it too.
that's
I've heard it
insane.
too. It's disgusting.
That is
It's
insane.
just, and so that poor little 10-year-old,
They've
that
come
poor
out of
little
prison
10-year-old.
and demanded the right to see the child. I have read that, and and it traumatized me. They have come out of prison on parole and gone to court for the right to see the child. So you are literally.
Which one, the 10-year-old or the baby?
Exactly.
That's mad, Courtney. Courtney said if the woman does have an abortion, she can get a longer sentence than the actual rapist.
Yeah, exactly.
That is mad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh no, but when
it's
what was
murder.
it? When Roe, what was it? Wade versus Roe. When
Yeah.
that thing, women knew that there was a death sentence for them. I have friends in America, and it was literally like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? It's so massive over there that suddenly women's rights, what we've been fighting so long for, gone.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's just
in
awful.
closing of this conversation, for me personally, I'll have my say, and then you guys can have yours, and then we can just go from there. But in my thing, when, like, if it's a difficult one, like, but for me overall, if the baby's fit and well, if the baby's fit and well, and you're past, let's just say 3 months, if it's possible for the person to carry it and give it up for adoption, I think I would prefer that option, especially if that was my partner, like, going through that. I'd prefer to obviously sign a contract or whatever and say, look, I'll take the baby if you don't want the baby. But we know for a fact, like Joe's already articulated, the moment women go to a certain, that's why some women don't have abortions. The moment it sinks in their head that, wow, this is actually a human being inside me, like, it's fit and healthy, it's impossible for that woman to give away. Like, all these surrogate mums, you always hear about them, arranging to have babies for someone, and then they end up snatching the baby, giving it away, and but it's a difficult one as well, because I always go to EastEnders as well. This is weird, but Kat Slater, she was a victim of Zoe Slater.
My mother,
Yeah,
I am.
Zoe Slater, she was the victim of the uncle with Kat, and you think to yourself, the way they've, like, this is a whole person, a whole human being there, and that did make me think a little bit. But by no means if it's a 10-year-old kid, but it's not even a discussion for me. And then the rapists get bloody rights to see the kid as well, even more insane. That's my 2 cents on it.
Joe?
Women have the right always to make the final decision. End of story. As far as I'm concerned, my body, my rules, my way. I'll argue with anyone on that. It's my body. No one's going to have the right to tell me what I can do with it in any way, shape, or form.
I
Like
can
everyone would want that for themselves.
I can understand women that do have regret over having them.
Mm-hmm.
I will always be pro-choice, but I will stand by the cut-off point. You know, sort of 24 weeks, or I think it's 14 weeks for a straight sort of. I think they can take the tablet up to 14 weeks, and then after that it's a procedure, because then they say it's got to be a medical reason for that to happen. I'm sure that's the rules of the NHS at the moment. It's 14 weeks for the tablet that they can take, and then I think it's up to 24 weeks where if it's a medical problem, such as things we've talked about, they'll do a procedure to have the abortion. But I will stand by that 24 weeks. That if that baby's fit, healthy, and you've got to 24 weeks, and it's not through grape or anything else, it's just, then I think adoption is, you know, where you should go with that. I don't think after 24 weeks it's viable, and I do believe that it's gone past cells as well.
Mhm.
And that's just me. That's mine. Just
Okay, that was quite emotional for some reason. Like, that was quite emotional, that debate. And,
Bloody signal.
it's really emotional for me, to be honest. But guys, thank you very much for joining on all the other social media platforms. That was our little discussion. We are going to be having one of the guests from that actual debate on very shortly. Oh, soon, hopefully. So that'll be more interesting. So everyone, thanks for joining on the other social media platforms. Peace and love. Goodbye.
bye.